Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. From wherever you're attending this session, I am Nihata, your host for this exciting webinar. We are thrilled to have you all join us for this informative and engaging session brought to you by MOURI Tech. In today's data-driven world, data is critical for the success of any organization. However, finding the right information when you need it can be a daunting task. And that's why we are here to explore the fascinating world of enterprise search and to show you how businesses can access critical insights from their data with ease. Together with our esteemed partner Sinequa, a leader in insights engine, we will discover the secrets of AI-powered enterprise search. So buckle up and get ready for this exciting journey with our expert speakers from MOURI Tech and Sinequa. Just to keep your interest peaked, let me tell you that we will be having a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So be sure to share your burning questions with us. We would love to hear from you and address all your queries. Before we get started, here's a short video to set the stage for today's fascinating session.
In today's data-driven world, information availability and accuracy is essential for business success. Enterprise search capabilities empower organizations to harness data and derive valuable insights. MOURI Tech can revolutionize your enterprise search experience with AI-powered solutions. MOURI Tech offers enterprise search solutions tailoring the search experience to meet unique needs of the organizations. Gain a competitive edge with our extensive expertise and experience in utilizing market-leading tools and value proposition with our differentiators. Power your enterprise search journey with MOURI Tech. Harness the power of data with MOURI Tech's capabilities.
Wow, I am sure that video gave us a glimpse of what's coming up now. It's now my pleasure to introduce our expert speakers today, Luke Marigot and Janish Gatestein. We have Luke Marigot joined us, who will be representing Sinequa today. Luke is Vice President, Center of Excellence, Sinequa, which immediately helped evolve in 2018. He oversees key activities such as the Sinequa University platform, a dedicated team of subject matter experts, and both the customer support and training departments. Luke collaborated in the development and production of the very first version of Sinequa, which now ranks as one of the leading platforms in insights engines. Prior to joining Sinequa and natural language processing and artificial intelligence space in 1997, Luke was a part of 3 years of research project in combinatorics and graph theory. Luke has double masters, one in theoretical mathematics and the other one in theoretical computer science. Next up, we have Janish Gatestein joined us from MOURI Tech. Janish is a senior manager within the data science and analytics division. With over 11 years of experience in manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and telecom industries. Janish is an accomplished search engineer and SME in Sinequa. He has a proven track record of architecting and implementing solutions that solves complex business problems. With a strong background in managing both run and development team, Janish creates a unique personality for both technical expertise and leadership for any project. He is also highly skilled in Solar, Lucene, and Elasticsearch. A very warm welcome to both Luke and Janish. Now, let us get going with our first poll round and see what you have to share with us. The poll will be visible on your screen. Each poll round will have 3 questions and equal time will be devoted to answer each of them. So please share your valuable inputs with us. Let's hurry up. We have a few seconds left for our first question. Here's the second question on your screen now. I request you to wrap up your responses quickly. The clock is ticking. And here's the final third question for our first poll round. Please share your responses quickly. We have few seconds left. Thank you everyone for your participation. Coming back to the main course of discussion. Hi, Luke. Could you start us by telling how search impact our daily lives and how does Sinequa revolutionize the way business access and utilize the information?
Yes, sure. So thank you, Neha. Hello, Nanesh. First of all, and before I start, I would like to express how happy and honored I'm with you today. I will try and get back to the roots and explain what enterprise search is from a very basic standpoint, I would say. And then we'll go into more sophisticated explanations. But again, let's start simple first and come back to the way we can define enterprise search, basically. So the very first question we can ask ourselves is basically, what is search? And one way to address this question is to go after definitions, and for instance, here are a few definitions extracted from dictionaries. And if we think about what search is, basically, we can quickly discover that it's similarly, it's not only about searching for something, it's quickly about solving a problem. And this is extremely interesting because from this very basic definition, it comes to the actual way we'll be using search in an enterprise context. So we'll discover how from just searching for a keyword, searching from something, searching from a document, we'll go after solving something very important with a real value proposition within the enterprise. So that's all about that. So let's again come back to search from the basics. Search is almost everywhere. You are using it on the internet on a very frequent basis, like daily, multiple times a day, being on the internet, on Google, on Bing, sorry, by making use of e-catalog websites and many others. And similarly, when you go at work within your enterprise landscape, you will find lots of search bar within many tools that you are similarly using very regularly during your work day. So what can we do with that, and what is it all about? One question we may ask ourselves is the commonality. What is search? How does it work in general? And basically, if we think about search, we think about a search engine. And the search engine looks like a magic box where you can ingest some documents on one side, and you can perform a query by typing a keyword on the other side, and you are just hoping to have pointers driving you to the right and the most relevant documents corresponding to your keyword. That's all about search engine in general. That's the most simple view we can give of a search engine. But basically, when it comes to enterprise search, we will discover that it covers something much more complex, much more broad than this. One reason being because there are so many different data sources and data types that you can encounter in your professional environment. And also because we will make use of lots of different technology to address a user experience which go way beyond simple keyword search. So that's all about this webinar. I think we'll deep dive into it. We'll explain a bit of what under the hood, behind the scene. So let's keep going on that and explain a bit. So one other question is like, what is an index? Because it's always about asking what we'll be indexing, how to find across indexes, and so forth. What is an index, basically? So an index is what you obtain after scanning a set of documents, word by word, by making use of several indexing technologies. So you have to tokenize sentences into words and then decide what to index. But basically, the most important is this data structure that we call a reverse index or inverted file index. Whereas instead of having document one with word A, B, C, we'll return this structure to say word A is belonging to document one, but also document two, etc., and so on and so forth. And we do that each time we encounter a new word within a document. So that's all about this indexing phase. And the reason why we are doing that is because at search time, when someone will perform a keyword search, if a given word is typed, we'll have immediately the list of documents containing this word. And so word A, word B as a question immediately will drive us to the right answer of documents in a given order of relevancy according to this question. So that's all about that. And basically, we could stop here and say that's the principle of a search engine, whereas this index is a list of terms associated to the documents that contain them. Honestly, real life is made of way more complex systems. And when it comes to enterprise search, it's even more complex because we need a lot of things to cope with complexity within the enterprise landscape. So things like part of speech tagging, multiple languages, specific dictionaries, auto-suggest as you type, phonetization, spelling correction, embeddings with vectorization of the content. There is a lot of technologies that coexist in a single enterprise search product today. Not because we like complexity, but just because it's really solving problems and it's making users' life easier at the end of the day. So lots of technology, we won't explain them all, of course, but this is all about our business, what we are specialists of, and this is what we'll be talking today. So moreover, another way to talk about search is just to make this very simple comparison between web search and enterprise search. This is another interesting reference to take. In Google, for instance, as is the most used web search today, you have a lot of volume, a lot of traffic. The number of formats is less important, and security is not very important in the sense that people have put content on the internet purposely to have the most, as many users accessing it in general. This is exactly the exact opposite in the enterprise, whereas you have less volume in general, less traffic, but many more types of data sources, many more data formats. We are talking about hundreds of different document formats. And the most important difference between, plus security, because of course in the internet, in the enterprise, you are not supposed to access any document within the company, depending on access rights. And finally, the most important difference is like you have generic expectation on the internet, where if you implement an enterprise search, it's generally to address some very specific business expectations. So this part is making the highest challenge, I would say, in properly implementing and addressing enterprise search challenge instead of just rolling out a search tool on the internet. So an enterprise search, again, can be seen from a historical perspective. And I will take a comparison between this enterprise search and the automotive industry. Think about this automotive industry. We started just with technology in the late 19th century with Sadi Cardo, who invented a way to perform, to turn oil into kinetic energy with engines. So thermic engine was born in the early 20th century. And then this engine alone was useless. So we had to integrate it into something to address a given need. So this is the next step of the evolution, where you put an engine inside a car to address something very useful that we are using on a daily basis. And later on, from a single usage, we just decided to go after multiple usage, but they are based on the same principle, with multiple types of car, depending on whether you want to win a race or you want to transport people. So multiple use cases, around the same concept. In the enterprise search area, that's exactly the same story behind. We start with technologists who started to put some theories on language management. I mean, natural language processing with here Chomsky, artificial intelligence with Turing, theory of information with Shannon, and many others. And then the first search engine has been implemented and written in the early 80s or so. But it was a search engine in the same way that it has to be integrated into something. And the notion of enterprise search just has been created in the early 2000s with the idea of addressing all the enterprise data within a search engine and providing an interface to better search across enterprise content. So that was the so-called enterprise search area between 2000 and 2015, I would say. Why do I stop in 2015? Just because at this time, major analysts like Gartner or Forrester decided to turn the keywords from enterprise search to something else. And it was really, so Gartner called them insight engines now, and Forrester is now naming it cognitive search. So why this new terminology? Because on top of the same kind of product, basically, the major shift is to turn the use case and the usage itself from pure search to enterprise applications. And then we were more focused on use cases. What do we address? What are the benefits from an enterprise? What are the pain points that we try to solve with help from a search engine? So that's a same kind of story, like the use cases are becoming more and more important today, even if behind the scene it's just powered by an enterprise search. So there is another keyword that I do like, which is SBA. It's not a recent one. It does have its Wikipedia page, I think. And the SBA stands here for search-based application. So I like this term because it's really self-explanatory in the sense that we are talking about an application which is here to have a mission, to have a target, a business target. But this application couldn't be implemented without a search engine. So this is really all about that, finding the right use case, finding the right application, and making use of the search engine technology because it's the best candidate to address such an application. So in the enterprise landscape, basically you have lots of data, you have different kind of users, and you have to find out the best expectations and how to address them with help from a search engine. So that's all about this art of finding the right use case with the highest ROI, the best value you can get out of that, even if the technology behind is really made of a search engine. So we'll go further through multiple use cases. Over here, you have a few screenshots extracted from our implementation from here to there at large companies. I will let MOURI Tech express their experience in this area because they have lots of experience within very interesting use cases. Just before I leave the floor to Nanesh and explain what kind of use cases they have already implemented at their customers, I just want to put a next extra mile of theory here. And here, after implementing, I would say, tens of enterprise search at many enterprise, because I've been working here for a while, I would say that whether you are a researcher, whatever your role is in the company, as an engineer, as an auditor, as a team manager, as an expert, as an administrator, whatever your role might be, I would say there are not that many query intention if you are facing an enterprise search in general. I would summarize them within 4 categories. The first category is like you are searching for a document. You just lost the exact location of a document, so you are interested in knowing where this document is. You are looking for a reference document, you are looking for an existing collateral, you are seeking for a given document. The second example is you are seeking for a person, because in the course of your day, you would be happy to have some help. from your peer, from an expert, from someone in your organization. And looking for a person is the second intention that we can encounter by making use of a search engine. You want to build a team to answer an RFP, you are looking for support in a given task. So that's another interesting user experience. The third one is what we call here a 360 view. You are not interested in a given document. You are not just seeking for a person. You are looking for everything related to a given subject, right? Let's imagine you are writing a report. You are trying to get everything related to a given customer, to a given supplier, to a given nuclear plant, to a given geography, whatever your center of interest. Multiple documents coming from many sources will help you building up a 360-degree view of your subject. And the very last one that we will address later on today is how to get a very precise answer to a question. Like you are even not interested in a document, but in a very short sentence extracted from a document itself. And you are familiar with this kind of experience on the internet today. Like if you ask what's the weather forecast for tomorrow, you will have the exact temperature where you are living. You will have exact information even without accessing the document themselves. So this is another intention that we can see more and more today. And I will explain later on what I'm talking about. So think about those four main user intentions. And now it's all a matter of finding within your enterprise, I would say, center of interest, expertise, sector, where you could apply search and where search is really legitimate to implement a given business application. So here are a few examples. As you can see here, you have a huge variety of use cases coming from search-related things, but some others are not related to search at all. So I will leave the floor now to Nanesh just to give us a few examples and to detail some of them, which are interesting by their variety. And here again, because we are not thinking search firstly when you consider such use cases. So I leave it to you, Nanesh, now to give us a few examples of what you've realized at MOURITech.
Sure. Thank you, Luke, for taking us through this extraordinary world of Sinequa and enterprise search. So I think you have laid a solid foundation for our audience to understand the importance and the potential enterprise search brings. So now I am now excited to build upon the foundation that you have given by diving into specific use cases that MOURITech, we as a company, have developed in real-time scenario on Sinequa platform for client. And I have I have segmentized this into based out of, say, the benefits or the outcomes this use cases brought to our clients. 1, efficiency. 2, cost savings. And 3, achieving a comprehensive 360-degree view. So these are the 3 segments that I'm going to talk about now. On the first segment, which is efficiency, the use case that we are going to talk is something that we delivered for a client in the life science space. So in the life sciences industry, companies often require approval from the relevant health authorities to sell their drugs over the counter. In a particular, say, country, they will have their own respective health authorities who will ask a question on that particular drug to see if it is like legal to sell, if it is okay to be sold, where it can be injected into human body, so on and so forth. There's shelf life as well, right? So each country asks these questions on submission, and the client must answer all of this before it gets clearance to be sold on the counter. So in order for the client to capture all these data, they had deployed individuals who painstakingly had to enter these question and answers into a database, seeing a particular PDF or a Word document or something like that, right? So after that, after getting this information added to a database, a subject matter expert jumps in. So what he or she does is classifies these questions based on, say, different submission types. So basically, there are like different stages of your drug life cycle. Questions are being asked during registration, during pre-approval, and during approval, right? So they have to bucket all of these questions into different submission types. Then what happens is these classified numbers were then used to generate some insights and then sent to the leadership team to see in which area for this particular drug, which particular questions are being asked, so on and so forth. What we were able to clearly understand is that this is a completely manual process. It was time consuming and it was prone to errors also, because it's after all done by a human and there might be some kind of errors. And it also demanded a lot of people to be deployed in this particular stuff. So it demanded a significant number of human resources. So what we had as a challenge was very clear to us. So what our client needed was a solution that could basically streamline this entire operation flow and enable them to derive insights from the knowledge we have accumulated, right? So the next time when they submit the same drug to a different country or a different health authority, they will be able to answer it quickly. So that the time taken for the drug to come to the market will decrease, and it will in turn lead to increase in revenue. So people here who work in life sciences know that that's how their business model is. Faster the drug comes to market, more the revenue gets generated. So MOURITech, with the power of Sinequa, leveraged the capabilities of natural language processing, machine learning, so that we could automate this entire manual process. So Sinequa in its box, in its hood, as Luke mentioned, has so much of advanced algorithms that can extract all these questions answers from the documents by itself. And then it also can automatically classify. So the work of the human resource people who have to independently do has gone off, and also the SMEs are not required anymore. So the outcome of implementing this kind of use case was to ensure accuracy and also consistency. So basically, our client has experienced an 80% reduction in a full-time equivalent to handle this process. So imagine the time and cost savings that can be achieved by freeing up human resources and redirecting them to some more strategic task that can give much more value. So now let's come to the second compelling efficiency-focused use case. So our client faced a different challenge, which is to efficiently manage purchase requests and orders. So people into procurement, people who does orders into managerial positions, they would know this. This is a pain. So client's existing system was a GSI based system. So what happens basically here in GSI system is all these procurement related stuffs, informations are stored, but what it lacked was a in-depth view of this different stages of procurement. And not to mention the UI was full of clutter and the user experience was not really great. And it required the end users to have certain amount of technical expertise to even go through this particular data. So basically it made it difficult for the employees to track which stage of the approval their purchase request is in. Approval 1, approval 2, approval level 3. So that is not visible for if they do not log in into the GSI system. So again here, MOURITech's challenges were clear. Sinequa's challenges were also clear. So the lack of visibility into the procurement stages and the cumbersome process of locating the purchase orders hindered the efficiency of the entire procurement workflow. So what we had to do as a solution was to streamline all these steps and iron out all these challenges to make work easier for an employee. We stepped in, we developed a custom-made SAP-based HANA connector. And this connector seamlessly integrated the data from the GSI system, and then it brought into the Sinequa data, Sinequa's index, right? So now we have the data, and we also have, in addition, a technical expertise to build SBA. So we used that because if you remember, that was also a problem, right? Like the UI was very clutter. It was not clutter free, basically. So we had to create a user-centric application, which was far easy for the end users to use and search for the required info. So what was the outcome of this use case? The employees were now able to significantly improve the efficiency and time savings. They can locate quickly their purchase request, track the relevant personnel for approval sign-off right through the application itself. Say it is stuck in approval level 2. They can write to that person, send a reminder for approval, even without going to Teams or Outlook, writing an email. Nothing was required. So this streamlined process has led to an impressive 40% reduction in the time spent on approval process, saving almost an average of 2 hours per request. And we are talking about countless requests that comes in for procurement of some supplier vendors, some say parts or say softwares, so many different steps. So now let's go to the next segment of use cases. Like this is going to involve cost saving benefits. Every organization wants a return on investment, right? So when they invest something into MOURITech or Sinequa, they expect return on cost. So these are going to be a fascinating cost saving use cases that you will be able to get some idea on the creativity of how Sinequa can be used. So let's come into pharmaceutical companies. So what they do conduct trials to evaluate the safety and the efficacy of the products. So, however, like with each trial, they generate a vast amount of data, and it was difficult to search through these information of data that is going to come from each trials. And also analyzing this information can be like quite challenging, right? Also, these trials usually are outsourced to third-party vendors. They don't do it themselves. Pharmaceutical companies do not do these kind of clinical trials themselves, but they just simply outsource it. But what happens here is these vendors will give in each format. They have their format of their own. So the sheer volume alone was not a problem. The complexity of the data also on all different formats, it was very difficult for a client to extract insights and make informed decisions. So to address these challenges, we as a team in MOURITech, partnering with Sinequa, implemented an AI-powered application just to extract insightful data from all of these various document formats by using NLP techniques, ML techniques. And this application that we created not only facilitated search capabilities. As Luke said, it's not only about search, it's also about the other steps that we are going to give out of the box. So what we also gave them was an analytics dashboard, which says heat maps, Sankey diagrams to assist our customer in making efficient decisions. So though using this solution, the client was able to expedite regulatory compliance and all those things, the cost saving aspect of the solution cannot be overlooked. So I have not touched on the cost part yet, right? So how was this use case cost saving? So usually there is a redundant trial that occurs because certain scientists will not know that a particular trial has already been raised to a particular vendor. Since there are multiple vendors, multiple scientists going through all these things, and trials are not cheap. So our client saved approximately around $5 million, eliminating unnecessary expenditures. So our final cost saving use case that we are going to talk about right now is going to revolve around eliminating the need for expensive readers licenses. So there are a lot of content storage platforms where people can upload documents, policy documents, and all those documents for free. But for them to access the document, each employee has to have a reader's license. So consider our client had around 60,000 employees, and for a particular employee, they have to pay around $5. And this put a strain on the company's budget for around approximately, say, 300K per year. So to tackle this challenge, what did MOURITech do? MOURITech developed a specialized search application, which was able to document indexing and also do previewing, where people, instead of going to the source application, came to Sinequa, searched it, read it, and they didn't require a reader's license in Sinequa, right? So Sinequa just used one reader's account, and it was costing only $5 per year. So by now, you know what is the outcome of it, right? The expenses plummeted from 300K per year to mere $5 per year. So the next segment of use cases that I'm going to explain is kind of a 360 dimension that Luke was talking about in the slides. So there was a manufacturing company which reached out to us asking for a comprehensive 360-degree view of parts throughout their activities like transportation, tendering phase, design, production, maintenance, etc. Our client is a company that assembles locomotives by procuring parts from suppliers as an OEM. That's how it happens. Like they don't manufacture entire parts themselves. They just get some from outside and then they assemble it. So this information about all these parts were segregated across the content storage platforms, and it was not in a single one roof. So it was all segregated in different ERP tools, different tables, different databases. This segregation made it difficult to gain a holistic understanding of part cycle. So they wanted inventory information, consumption, part guides, recent suppliers, what was the cost that it was procured, etc., all in one roof. So what we had to do was to leverage Sinequa's out-of-the-box connectors, and it developed a specialized search-based application where all this data across all these tools, tables, and everything came into Sinequa, and we were able to give a 360-degree insight in a unified way, where every information, right, from where that particular part is being used, which warehouse, what is the inventory count, should I raise a new quotation, should I raise a new RFP to procure it, which supplier should I reach out to, right? All of these things. So what is the outcome? Our outcome was like our client achieved a remarkable 70% reductions in time spent on parts management, as well as they realized a staggering cost savings of approximately $2 million this year in finding the right supplier for the right part, basically because of the storage of all the historical price information that we had under one roof. So they click for a particular part, say train brake shoe, and they get to know which supplier has quoted which price based on previous information. So these are just examples to show how enterprise search is a versatile tool that goes beyond just traditional search like Google. These are just a small pin in haystack of possibilities that we can uncover in this technology, right? So together, that is you, along with MOURITech and Sinequa, we can unlock the full power of this technology and shape a future where enterprise search becomes an indispensable tool for organizations in every industry, not just life sciences or manufacturing. If you have a data findability problem, if you have any problem that I have showcased in use cases till date, you can reach out to us. So now that I have given our audience the creativity that we can show in identifying use cases for organizations, can we also give them a glimpse into the future and the upcoming possibilities that this technology holds? Luke, over to you.
All right, thank you, Nanesh, and congratulations for these examples that are really inspiring. I'm pretty sure all the audience will find similar applications within their environment. So yes, what I have in mind is, like you mentioned multiple times, AI-powered solutions, like these enterprise search solutions are powered by artificial intelligence. So let me tell you a bit more about that. And of course, the solution already embeds some AI technologies, which NLP and machine learnings are part of. But there is some interesting, I would even say, exciting improvements that are coming to the front. So let me unveil a bit of what we are really working on, primarily in terms of improving search with AI. And first, why would we do that? The first reason is because in your private life, if you are asking something like who directed Avatar in 2009, you can get an immediate answer, which is properly written, properly formatted. You have the name of the guy, you have the year, everything is directly displaying and showing up on your Google page, for instance. If you are doing exactly the same kind of experience within your enterprise search, today it remains a real challenge. So this is exactly the thing that we want to improve. If you remember my final diagram before I passed it to Nanesh, it's also about, it's really about searching for something very precise and being directed to the right information at the right time. So this is what we want to achieve with Sinequa, with help from two new technologies. The first new technology, and this is again, this is the second time I'm displaying this diagram, but this is globally this functional architecture of Sinequa. But here I will be focusing on two assets here. The first one is what we call Sinequa Neural Search. So this is a technology powered by deep learning, large language models that are delivered within Sinequa. And the second is a touchpoint integration that we've just released with Azure OpenAI just to interact with help from ChatGPT and even enhance this search experience. So let me explain a bit more about that. First, what is neural search? Neural search is here to address things like this. Traditionally, with the historical approach, if you ask for something like what are the Sinequa core values, you have a list of answers. And these are documents where with relevant extracts where keywords are highlighted or written in bold. And then you can jump to the right document and access the document and read it, right? That's basically the search engine experience. That's the one you are familiar with. With neural search, instead of accessing documents, you can, of course, access the most relevant documents you are interested in. But here you have access to the most relevant extract, the most relevant passage within the document. We call them snippets as well. These are chunks of documents that are most relevantly answering the question. And instead of accessing the document itself, you can also go through the most relevant passages inside the document. So this was the goal we wanted to achieve. And to do so, we've shifted a bit the approach between a one-to-one correspondence between documents to be indexed and indexed entries, like there is a list of documents answering a query, to something slightly different, where we start by splitting documents into smaller snippets, like document chunks, document passages, to apply natural language understanding powered by deep learning. And we have embedded several large language models to make this happen. So then instead of getting documents, you directly access the most relevant answers. And of course, we do have the links to the underlying documents. So that's the essence of neural search. I would recommend you to test it within Sinequa. And basically, I brought here some examples to illustrate a bit what I'm talking about. Like if I'm answering things like, what are the Sinequa companies' holidays in the US, then you can hope to get directly the answer from the answers list. Here, you can see the list of bank holidays and the list of holidays that are for US employees at Sinequa. The second example is interesting because even more, here you can see how we have targeted the right answer after such queries performed, like Sinequa, how many connectors does Sinequa have? Like here we can see that depending on the date actually of this document, we can answer either 150 to 200 connectors. So here again, the answer is directly extracted from the document themselves. And the third example is similar. How many languages does Sinequa support? And we can manage to have multiple good answers to the same question, depending on whether you are interested in how many languages are recognized at indexing time and how many languages are supported with natural language processing, with morphosyntactic analysis, part-of-speech tagging, and so forth within Sinequa. So the two answers are good. And here again, they are directly extracted from the answer, from the documents, instead of just pointing to the right document. So under the hood, I won't go deeper into this explanation, but you may know that Sinequa is delivered today with three main large language models that are inherited from BERT. It's something that are based on the language model, the well-known language model released by Google 5 years ago. And today we have multiple technologies to coexist and to work at indexing time and query time to provide the best answer to precise queries. Now, let's talk about this Sinequa's Azure OpenAI integration. So you are probably all familiar with ChatGPT. It's becoming very popular from the beginning of this year. And today it's even packaged within a cognitive service from Microsoft, which name is the Azure OpenAI cognitive service. So here, the idea is to say, okay, if you have already played with that, you know it's very interesting, very impressive, we like it, but does it really replace search? Actually, we'll see that it's generating text. It's not retrieving information. And it's coming with limitations that are normal, that are by design and very well known by specialists. Like, of course, by making use of ChatGPT, you won't have access to your internal data because it's been trained on public data sets only. It's not up to date. ChatGPT was trained in 2021. And there is no explicit links to your internal documents because ChatGPT is not aware of your documents, and even Azure OpenAI is not aware of your documents. So you have to mitigate these limitations by something else. And so the goal, and last but not least, you know this pretty well-known keyword today, we say that large language models can hallucinate if they provide a wrong answer because just don't have enough information to provide the right one. So the idea behind that will be the following. Instead of just making use of this large language model on the internet by prompting it and getting some answers, we will actually use Sinequa to pre-select the best answers that we are getting from your data with help from your research. And these best answers will be a way to do what we call prompt engineering, like giving ChatGPT enough context to better answer your query. And that's the magic of this integration, because then the answers will come from your existing material. You will have direct interaction with your data, and the large language model, the very large language model that you cannot install at your premise because it's really too big, will be aware anywhere of your information landscape. So, for example, here, if I ask how many connectors does Sinequa have, that's another extra experience we are putting on top of a Sinequa experience. Here you can have an exact answer extracted and generated by ChatGPT, but thanks to the underlying Sinequa installation, you have direct summary, which is pointing to the right references. And so you can check and access your data after making use of search and such an experience on top of ChatGPT. And the magic of ChatGPT can be cascaded there, because you can even ask it to format the answer differently. You can ask it to provide a list, to provide some explanation, to format it as an email, as a press release, translate it in multiple languages, and so forth. So it's really a matter of combining search with AI, powered by AI, plus this Azure OpenAI integration. So I guess it's time for questions. I've been a bit talkative. We have time for questions, so I leave it to you, Nea, to keep on mastering this webinar and let us know.
Thank you both, Luke and Yanish, for sharing your valuable insights with us. This has been an incredibly knowledgeable session with both Luke and Yanish. But before heading to the Q&A session, we have a final poll down for our audience. So keep your eyes on the screen and share your valuable inputs with us. You should see the poll on your screen now as before. Please take a few seconds to share your responses with us. We encourage 100% participation. We have a few seconds left. Please share your responses. Here's the second question on your screen now. Please do share your response for this one as well. And here's the final question. Let's wrap up quickly. We have a few seconds left. Thank you all for your participation. We appreciate your interest. Now, heading towards the Q&A session. Wow, it's amazing to see the level of engagement from our audience today. The live chat is overflowing with brilliant questions. We are committed to answer as many as possible questions, so let's jump right in and provide the best possible answers within our time constraints. So here's the first question, and this is for you, Nyanish. How many out-of-the-box connectors are typically there in Sinequa, and what was the development effort and the cost incurred in consolidating data from the various sources in the part use case that you talked about?
Right. So I think Luke did cover the out-of-the-box connectors in one of his slides, but let me answer you this. So there are approximately 200 connectors available in Sinequa out of the box. And to talk about the development cost, so these connectors are just incredibly convenient because you don't have to code from scratch. So it's already there for you. And it's kind of a configuration settings where you will have to just say, obtain the connection details of your database by like username, password, add to it, and map some attributes, fields, and most likely open your firewall to the application server. And all of these things is done. You just have to simply press a button, say start indexing, and you will witness the magic of data flowing seamlessly into Sinequa from that source. So now that we have the data without any development cost, how about building a UI? Sinequa has a solution for that also. They thoughtfully included the basic search-based application where it kind of serves as a solid base. And if you really need further customization, then according to your specific needs, team in MOURITech can do certain changes with some Angular expertise and build it for you. And obviously, development cost for all of these things together is going to be considerably less than what it would take for you to write everything on your own.
Thank you, Nyanish. Here's another question, and this one is for you, Luke. The first look of the application and the potential it brings is good to see. Thank you for that. But could you provide us more information on the license cost associated with the product?
Yeah, the license cost. So that's a good question actually, because of course Sinequa will have a cost, and you know, there is no perfect answer to this, because it's always a question of how to size the license to a given level of usage. And basically we found out that we wanted to keep it simple. We want to tie the price to the value of enterprise search in general. And at the end of the day, the value is coming from documents. So finally, the more documents you want to index, the more documents you want to leverage through an enterprise search, the higher is the price. So basically, when you purchase a license at Sinequa, you will have a cost, a yearly cost, which correspond to the amount of data that you want to ingest within Sinequa. That's basically the single variable, the single factor onto which we are basing our pricing.
Thank you, Luke. We have another question, and this one is for you, Nyanish. Main issue which we see with our organization's internal searches, that the results are not that relevant. How are your solutions different?
That's a good question. Okay, so I totally understand the frustration of dealing with irrelevant search results. But to tell you what sets our solutions apart is like our advanced approach to address this issue. Sinequa not only has a state-of-the-art algorithm, which will give you definitely relevant results. On top of it, we are also extracting a lot of entities like place, name, say organization name, dates, etc. from the document's content itself to create filters for you on the left side, so that you are looking into a specific topic, you will always be able to filter it and find the right documents. Additionally, if you are from a particular market segment, for example, your domain is into life sciences, so you might require drugs, diseases to be extracted. So we do have, say, connectivity to taxonomy libraries to extract these information and classify these documents accordingly. Same for the manufacturing segment as well. So you can tag each document with a particular part and say you are looking into a particular part as a manager, and you'll be able to find all documents which is pertaining to that particular word, right? On top of this, our system can also automatically learn from users' interaction. Say today I search for something and I go to second page and click on the first result. And the machine learns. And the next user who's going to search for the same word will find the document that was in the second page in the first page, maybe around fourth or fifth result. We call this as a relevance feedback model. So it makes our job as search engineers a little easier because it automatically learns and does this for us.
Thank you, Danish. I see we are on the top of the hour. So let's take one final question, and this is for you, Luke. In what ways Sinequa's neural search differ from ChatGPT, and how does Sinequa ensures security of the internal information while using the public large language models?
Yeah, that's interesting because I can see other questions applying to ChatGPT and what the future of search will be made of. Will ChatGPT take a large part of it or not? And today we can reasonably say we just don't know. But what is pretty for sure is like it will be a game changer. Large language model will be used more and more and pretty quickly, like from this year. That's why we anticipated and created this native Azure OpenAI integration. So that's something we'll have to deal with very, immediately. So now, thinking about the technologies themselves, we have to remember that retrieval is not the same technology as text generation. So again, we've been working on search, on retrieval, taking care of security, taking care of access rights, taking care of the most complex security models you can imagine within the enterprise. So that's something we can address from end to end with Sinequa. And now the question comes to, okay, but what about the large language models that are available on internet, like ChatGPT? And that's a real question, because then to leverage their intelligence, you have to send out some documents, some of your internal data. So that's why we preferred relying on Azure OpenAI service instead of directly OpenAI or maybe some others large language model. But again, the future will change around that. But today, the most secure is probably to rely on Azure because they have very strict policies in terms of security, in terms of confidentiality. They don't use your data. They don't use your secure data to train any model. So that's the way we would trust Microsoft more than some others. But that's very important to take care of this aspect. And if you are really want to take care of your data, just master them from end to end and just use Sinequa with help from your search. The security will be properly managed without any exception.
Thanks, Luke. We have one more interesting question for you from our audience, and that is, can we know Sinequa's strategy on competition and geographies to expand?
Well, yeah, I've no scoop. I've no announcement to be done here. For a few years now, we are mostly targeting different markets that are Europe and North America, plus Japan, because we also have many customers over there. And more generally, in terms of Sinequa strategy and to address new markets, what is noticeable is like we have just released now a SaaS offering. So this SaaS offering is even more well positioned than before to address any market wherever it resides. So we are now able to cope with any worldwide customer, considering that we will be able to address these kind of companies with our SaaS offering. So basically, we are still betting a lot in North American market, but also Europe, large Europe, broad Europe, and yes, the SaaS offering is the other part of our strategy and expansion.
Thanks, Luke. And let's move towards the end of the session. As we approach the end of this insightful session, I would like to take a moment to express our thanks to both Luke and Yanish for their valuable contributions to this webinar. And to all our attendees, thank you for participating. We hope you found this webinar both informative and beneficial. We have tried answering all your questions, but you can still reach out to us for further insights and details. Please write to us to inquiry@mouritech.com for further queries. We are committed to organize more leadership connects in the future. So please do follow us on various social media platforms to stay up to date about the latest updates and events. You will find the link to those platforms in the chat window.